Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here. My name is Marshall. I appreciate you taking the time to join us. Whether you're actively evaluating CRM systems or you're just trying to understand what a CRM actually does, you're in the right place today. This session is designed to be practical as well as interactive. By the end, you should walk away with a clear picture of how a CRM can help you manage customer relationships, track your sales processes, and run a more consistent and scalable business. We've got about an hour together. Let's make the most of it. So we've been working in CRM and business systems for over 30 years across a wide range of industries. We're a Zoho partner, which means we implement, configure, and support Zoho products for our clients. What sets us apart is how we approach the work. We don't just install software and walk away. We help businesses really think through how they operate, how information flows between people, how processes should be structured, and how teams stay aligned. CRM is one of the most powerful tools we use to make that happen. We're based in Michigan with clients throughout North America. Here's what we're focused on today. First, we want to help you identify where your current process breaks down. Most businesses already know something isn't working, they just haven't pinpointed it yet. Second, we'll show you how a CRM directly addresses those gaps across four key functions. Third, you'll see how CRM works through some clear examples and visuals within each of those modules. And finally, by the end, you should have a practical picture of how CRM could work in your business. As I mentioned, we'll move through four key areas of CRM, kind of each one building on the last. Module one, we'll talk about lead and contact management. Module two, we'll talk about sales pipeline management. Module three will be about tasks and activities. And module four will be about communication history. Let's talk about what a CRM does. Think of a CRM as the central nervous system of your business. Every customer interaction, every email, every call, deal, every follow up flows through it and becomes part of a permanent shared record for you and your team. Here's a problem most businesses hit as they grow. Uh, Individual or information starts living in individual people's heads, probably their inboxes, their notebooks. And when that person's unavailable or leaves the company, that information often goes with them. It's not a people problem, it's more of a systems problem. And CRM tends to be the solution. About the last time a deal went quiet because someone forgot to follow up, or the last time a customer had to repeat themselves because the person they originally worked with wasn't available, or the last time you had to ask a team member for a status update and they had to dig through email to find the answer. Those are all CRM problems, and they all have CRM solutions. CRM can organize every contact and company in one searchable place. It tracks every opportunity through a defined process and connects every communication to the right record automatically. Those three things together change how your business operates. These points here separate businesses that run on a CRM often from those that don't. You have a single source of truth, no more version control problems or information silos. Shared visibility. Every team member sees the same pipeline. Accountability. Activity is visible and not assumed. And it's scalable. It's a system that works for 5 people, but also works for 50. So before we move into the four key modules here, I want to share a few numbers with you guys, because those of you evaluating whether or not this investment makes sense or whether or not you want to continue to pour more into your CRM, this data is very compelling. Research consistently shows that about 79% of leads generated by businesses never even receive a follow up. They come in through a website form or a trade show list or a referral from somebody else, and they just disappear. Not because the business doesn't want the revenue, just because there's no system holding anyone accountable to that lead. The second number, 65% of time spent on non revenue tasks, is particularly striking. for business owners in this session. I mean, your salespeople, yourself, you might be spending the majority of your working hours on administration or searching for information or managing logistics instead of selling. And CRM doesn't necessarily eliminate that work, but it compresses it dramatically. The third number, a 29% revenue increase, is an average across business sizes and industries. Some businesses see more, some see less, but the direction is consistent. Structure in systems like this produce results. So CRM really helps you close those gaps and get you headed in the right direction. Talk about contact and lead management. Now that we understand what a CRM is, we'll talk about one of the foundational components, which is contact and lead management. At its core, the CRM helps you manage relationships, and every relationship starts with a name, a company, and a conversation. Leads are potential customers who have shown interest in your business. They're often early stage, and you're still evaluating whether they're a fit. Likewise, they might be evaluating whether you're a fit. Contacts usually are people who have been qualified, either existing customers or prospects that have proceeded beyond that initial lead stage. Leads can be nurtured over time and eventually converted into those contacts as the relationship develops and they move deeper into your process. Typically, before the CRM, businesses' leads come in through the typical channels: phone calls, emails, referrals, events. That doesn't necessarily change once you have a CRM, but once those leads were identified before the CRM, the information would often end up scattered. That's in somebody's inbox, maybe it's a spreadsheet, sticky notes, and in someone's head. With a CRM in place, leads are captured automatically and intentionally from various sources. Those same website forms, maybe it's a chat widget on your website, social media, business cards can be photographed and imported into the system. Every lead then is documented, organized, and accessible to the entire team. One record, one source of truth for that information. No more searching through inboxes or asking, who talked to who most recently. This is exactly what your business could look like. Now let's talk about what happens as those leads become real opportunities. That's where the pipeline management comes in. So a pipeline is a visual representation of your active sales opportunities, organized typically by where they are in your sales process. More importantly, though, it's your revenue forecast. It tells you what's coming in, when you can expect it, and how confident you should be about those numbers. For most small businesses, this visibility just simply isn't there. Revenue often feels unpredictable. It can be a little bit feast or famine, or it feels like a roller coaster, and you're never quite sure why. A structured pipeline can really help change that. You can see where deals are stalling, where you're losing opportunities, and what your team needs to focus on to protect that upcoming revenue. Top of that, your pipeline is one of the most valuable assets in your business. It's the leading indicator of your revenue. It's not last month's numbers, it's not this month's invoices, but it's what's actively moving through your sales process right now, and what you can count on to come in the future. As we walk through this module, think about how your own deals typically move from first contact to closed. Usually, before a CRM, the entire sales process runs through a single person or maybe a couple of people, where communication and the steps in the process are often fragmented. What is kept in notes and where those notes are kept tends to be inconsistent, and nobody else really on the team has visibility into what opportunities are being worked. With a CRM, that changes everything. Opportunities are formally tracked as a deal. Communication history on those is documented. Quotes are attached, and revenue potential is visible from day one. So instead of guessing how your quarter is going, anyone can take a look if they have access to those types of reports and dashboards, review the pipeline, and know within seconds. And that visibility can be transformative for a small or a growing business. So when you have deals in the pipeline, it's also important to consider how we keep them moving through it. And that's where task and activity management often come into play. Deals don't close on their own. They move forward through action. You need somebody on the other end of that to help you do so typically. And so it could be a call that's placed at the right time, or a proposal that's sent while interest is still high, or a follow up that arrives, before the prospect talks to your competitor. That's all based on activity management. It's the tasks, the calls, and the meetings that keep your deals in motion and keep your relationships alive. One of the hard truths that a lot of folks don't want to face is that if you're managing your follow up with mental notes or a sticky note on your monitor or a red flag on an email, you're already losing deals that you don't even know about. It's not because you're disorganized. It's because you're just applying the wrong tool to the job. CRM can hold all these commitments so your brain doesn't have to. Every task, every follow up call, every scheduled meeting, tracked, prioritized, and visible. Um, so everyone on your team can see those. When something's overdue, the system tells you. You don't have to rely on memory. You can rely on the system. Oftentimes, before a CRM, a business would send out a proposal and then wait. Or sometimes the prospect would reach back out, but they often don't. Things get busy, and that deal just sits and quietly dies without anyone really noticing. With a CRM, that pattern totally changes. Automated reminders can prompt for the right action at the right time. Automated emails can even be sent as follow up without your intervention if you'd like. Deals maintain momentum because the next action is always present and assigned. And the team has clear visibility into what's open and what's overdue. You don't have to have a status meeting to figure those things out. Through that, you get a more accountable team, a more consistent process, and a more reliable pipeline. Follow up is inconsistent, then revenue tends to be inconsistent. So CRM ensures follow up happens every single time. In most businesses, 80% of deals close after 5 or more touch points. Yet most reps abandon their pursuit of those leads well ahead of that. The gap between where a typical rep stops and where deals often close is exactly where you're losing revenue. And CRM eliminates that gap by automating reminders, automating emails, even directly to those customers or prospects, and keeping next steps assigned at every single stage. So we've covered lead and contact management, the sales pipeline, and activity management. Now let's talk about something that happens in most businesses every day. We typically think we're doing an okay job on this, but often falls apart when we really look at it. Um, at its core, CRM is about managing relationships, and relationships are built on communication. Every interaction leaves an impression, and the question is whether your business can access and build on those interactions or whether they disappear into somebody's inbox. When your customer history lives in an individual person instead of a shared system, you're one resignation, promotion, or sick day away from a relationship crisis. A long-term client calls with a question, your team member is unavailable, person who answers has no idea what's been discussed, and everything erodes from there. Communication tracking in a CRM fixes this permanently. Every email, every call, every note, every status change gets logged against the right customer record automatically. Becomes your institutional memory, knowledge that belongs to the organization rather than any one individual. And that has real business value. Creates faster onboarding for new team members, consistent service regardless of who picks up the phone. And for executives, the ability to review any customer relationship at any point and know exactly what's going on. Usually before the CRM, the customer information is everywhere. When a new team member gets pulled into a deal, they often have to be briefed by whoever was handling it before, if that person is even available. Conversations often rely on memory, and that's unprofessional. A lot of times customers can tell. With a CRM, anyone on the team can open a record and instantly see the full history. Every email, every call, every note, every activity, every deal, every quote, all in one place. Customer service becomes consistent and professional. Team collaboration improves because everyone has access to the same information, and the customers don't have to repeat themselves. So that experience builds trust both inside and outside the team. And that's what can set your business apart. So we're starting to bring things together here. It says session wrap up, but there's still a handful of slides here. So we've still got a little bit of time left. We've walked through these four core areas of CRM so far: contact and lead management, sales pipeline, task and activity management, as well as customer communication. So a CRM really does five things simultaneously that really you can't accomplish with spreadsheets or email or other disconnected tools. It really creates one version of the truth. It gives you real time pipeline visibility, so revenue is predictable and not a monthly surprise. It enforces follow up discipline, so the right action happens at the right time, every time. It preserves your full communication history, so your institutional knowledge is protected regardless of any staff changes. And it enables growth because a system that works for five people can also easily scale to 50 when it's built properly and without breaking down. More capability worth highlighting that we haven't really gotten into this in this session. Maybe it's a 102 type of topic for the future, but that's reporting and analytics. Really, every area of the CRM, leads, pipeline, tasks, communication, all generates data that you can act. And those metrics can be surfaced through reporting, analytics, dashboards, those types of things. Zoho certainly has them. Any good CRM would. All right. So let's talk a little bit about next steps here, too. You really don't have to figure this all out on your own. Um, we've been at this for over 30 years, as I mentioned, and we're here and we're ready to help you. If you're interested, we can conduct a complimentary CRM blueprint session. That would start with an intake form or survey. We ask you some questions, you fill that out ahead of time. We get together, we clarify a few things, and then we send you a plan afterwards. Again, complimentary if you're interested in doing something like that. Also, if you're interested in a free trial of Zoho CRM or Zoho CRM Plus or even Zoho One, we're going to include some links in our follow up email for those as well. Well, CRM has a 15-day trial. I think CRM Plus does as well. Zoho One has a 30-day trial, though, because there's a little bit more to check out there if you're interested. And depending on where you are in your process right now, maybe one of these will kind of meet you where you're at. But if not, certainly feel free to let us know. There will be another option at the end here for with our contact information and just a general contact us form. So if you have some other needs and would like to reach out, certainly feel free. Just a real quick overview of the plans that are available in Zoho. Zoho One is really the all-encompassing operating system. All Zoho applications, or virtually all Zoho applications, are included there. Within the suites that Zoho offers, we have Zoho CRM Plus is the most common one for our clients. Then certainly with this being a CRM 101 session, is what we're leading with there. There's some other suites that relate to finance and HR more directly, but for our purposes here today, CRM Plus is the go-to. And then if you're not quite ready for a suite or a bundle, then individual apps are always available. You can subscribe to those individually and a la carte, and you can always integrate them together just as if you'd purchased a suite, but you get to choose which ones go into your own personal bundle that way. Really appreciate you all joining us today. I genuinely appreciate your time and thank you for engaging with us here today. The problems we talked about here are real and the solutions are practical. If you're ready to take the next step, there's a QR code on screen that links to our basic contact information and contact us form. You can fill that out. Or as I mentioned previously, we'll be following up with an email to the registrants of this session with a couple of links to Zoho free trials, as well as if you're interested in taking advantage of the complimentary strategy session, you'll be able to do so there as well. Reach out anytime. It's been a pleasure chatting with you today, and hope to talk to you soon.